Intense argument erupts. Oba Femi snaps and goes psycho on Brock Lesnar live. Oba Femi just committed career suicide. The NXT powerhouse completely lost his mind during a live segment with Brock Lesnar, unleashing a psychotic verbal assault on the Beast Incarnate that escalated into physical confrontation and left everyone wondering if Oba just signed his own termination papers. I am sitting here absolutely stunned because what started as a tense face-off between two massive athletes devolved into the most unhinged, disrespectful, and potentially career-ending tirade WWE has broadcast in years. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why Oba Femi's meltdown was both the boldest and most reckless moment of his career, why Brock Lesnar showed incredible restraint in not destroying him, and why WWE management is facing an impossible decision about how to handle this situation. Stay until the very end because what happened after cameras stopped rolling will absolutely shock you. Let me set the stage for this absolute disaster because the context makes Oba's breakdown even more inexplicable. Monday Night Raw featured a segment where Brock Lesnar was being interviewed about his new alliance with Roman Reigns and their plans moving forward. Standard stuff. Brock was calm, focused, talking about dominating WWE alongside the tribal chief. And then Oba Femi's music hit without any warning or announcement. The NXT star walked out with this crazed look in his eyes, and you could immediately tell something was off. Oba marched to the ring and snatched the microphone from the interviewer before anyone could stop him. Brock looked more confused than threatened at this point, like, who is this kid and what does he want? Oba got right in Brock's face, and what came out of his mouth next was absolutely shocking. Brock Lesnar, the so-called Beast Incarnate, the man everyone's supposed to fear? I'm standing here looking at you and all I see is an old man living off a reputation built years ago. The disrespect. The complete lack of awareness about who he was talking to. Brock Lesnar is a former UFC heavyweight champion, a legitimate fighter who could destroy Oba in seconds if he wanted to, and Oba is treating him like some random veteran past his prime? The crowd's reaction was mixed, some people gasping at the audacity, others waiting to see if Brock was going to murder this kid right there in the ring. But Oba wasn't done with his verbal assault. He started screaming at Brock, and the intensity was absolutely unhinged. You think aligning with Roman Reigns makes you relevant again? You think hiding behind the tribal chief is going to extend your career? You're pathetic, Brock. You're a shell of what you used to be, and I'm the one who's going to expose you. I'm the future of WWE, and you're just an obstacle I'm going to destroy on my way to the top. Here's where Brock's reaction became absolutely fascinating. He didn't immediately attack. The old Brock, the uncontrollable beast, would have F5'd Oba through the ring already. But this new Brock, the more strategic version aligned with Roman, just smiled. That predatory smile that's more terrifying than any aggression. Brock grabbed a microphone and responded in the most chilling way possible. Kid, I don't know who told you that disrespecting me was a good career move, but they lied to you. But Oba completely ignored the warning. He got even more aggressive, pushing Brock's chest with his finger. You don't scare me, Lesnar. I've been watching you for years, and I know your patterns, I know your moves, I know your weaknesses. You're predictable, you're old, and most importantly, you're beatable. And I'm going to be the one who proves it to the world. The pushing was the line that should never have been crossed. You could see Brock's expression change from amused to dangerous. His jaw clenched, his fists tightened, and everyone in that arena knew Oba had about 5 seconds before Brock snapped. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. Oba shoved Brock Lesnar, actually put his hands on the Beast Incarnate and pushed him backward. The crowd erupted because everyone expected immediate violence. Brock stumbled back a step, more from surprise than the force of the shove, and the look on his face was pure murder. But before Brock could respond, Oba attacked first. He threw a wild punch that actually connected with Brock's jaw. The audacity. The absolute madness of Oba Femi throwing hands with Brock Lesnar. What happened next was chaos. Brock responded with a devastating clothesline that turned Oba inside out. The NXT star went down hard, but he popped right back up like a man possessed. Oba was screaming incoherently, throwing wild strikes, showing zero technique or strategy, just pure rage. This wasn't a calculated attack, this was a psychotic break happening live on television. Security flooded the ring, but Oba was fighting them too. He was throwing security guards aside, trying to get back at Brock, completely out of control. It took 8 security personnel to restrain Oba, and even then he was still trying to break free, still screaming threats at Brock. This isn't over, Lesnar. I'm going to end you. I'm going to prove that you're nothing. You hear me? Nothing. Meanwhile, Brock Lesnar just stood there with that same terrifying smile, watching Oba's meltdown with what looked like amusement. Brock grabbed the microphone one more time and delivered a statement that sent chills through everyone. Kid, you just made the biggest mistake of your short career. When I decide it's time to teach you a lesson, and I will decide that, you're going to wish you'd kept your mouth shut. Sleep well, Oba Femi, because your nightmare is coming. Here's what makes me absolutely furious about this situation. What was Oba thinking? This isn't how you make a name for yourself in WWE. You don't attack legends without permission, without a storyline, without management approval. Oba just went into business for himself in the most reckless way possible, and it's going to have consequences. Can we talk about the complete breakdown of professionalism Oba displayed? Wrestlers are supposed to work together to create compelling television, but Oba's attack on Brock looked like he had real animosity, real anger, real hatred. If Brock hadn't shown restraint, if he'd responded with full force, Oba could have been seriously injured. The lack of care for his own safety is concerning. Social media has been in absolute meltdown since this segment aired. Fans are divided between those who think Oba is a fearless future star who just made himself relevant and those who believe he's an unprofessional idiot who just got himself fired. The hashtag #ObaFemi snapped is trending, but so is #FireObaFemi. The wrestling world is completely split on how to interpret what happened. Let's examine what WWE management must be thinking right now. On one hand, Oba created a viral moment that has everyone talking. The segment is being shared across all platforms, generating massive engagement. But on the other hand, Oba completely disregarded the chain of command, potentially put himself and Brock at risk, and showed a complete lack of professionalism. How do you handle someone who creates buzz through chaos? Here's the genius perspective on what Oba did. If this was sanctioned, if WWE management actually approved this segment and Oba's behavior was planned, then this is brilliant character work. It establishes Oba as absolutely fearless, willing to stand up to anyone, a young lion challenging the old guard. It creates an instant feud with one of the biggest names in wrestling. That's star-making if done right. But here's the nightmare scenario: if this wasn't approved, if Oba went into business for himself and attacked Brock without permission, then he's facing potential suspension or termination. WWE can't allow talent to just do whatever they want on live television. There have to be rules, there has to be order, or the entire system breaks down. Oba might have just ended his own career for a moment of attention. Can we address Brock Lesnar's incredible professionalism in this situation? The old Brock would have destroyed Oba and damn the consequences. But this new, more mature Brock showed restraint. He delivered one clothesline to defend himself and then let security handle it. That shows growth and awareness that seriously injuring a young talent on live TV would be bad for everyone. Brock's evolution as a performer is actually impressive. The physical mismatch makes Oba's aggression even more insane. Brock Lesnar is a legitimate fighter, a former UFC champion, someone who's trained in actual combat. Oba Femi is a developmental talent who's primarily worked in NXT. If Brock had decided to shoot on Oba, to really hurt him, it would have been over in seconds. Oba's lucky that Brock chose restraint. Here's what the NXT locker room must be thinking: is Oba making them all look bad? Does his unprofessional behavior reflect poorly on the developmental system? Are WWE management going to view all NXT call UPS with more skepticism because of Oba's actions? The potential collateral damage extends beyond just Oba himself. Let's talk about the story potential if WWE decides to run with this. Oba Femi vs Brock Lesnar is actually a compelling matchup if properly built. The fearless young talent challenging the established legend. The rising star trying to prove himself against the ultimate measuring stick. Done right, this could be an incredible storyline that elevates Oba. But it requires careful booking and protection for Oba so he doesn't get squashed. Can we examine the promo Oba cut because it actually revealed interesting character depth? His points about Brock living off past reputation, needing Roman's alliance, being predictable, these aren't wrong observations. Oba was speaking truth, just in the most disrespectful way possible. That combination of legitimate criticism delivered with unhinged aggression creates compelling television. Here's my concern about where this goes: if WWE books a match between Oba and Brock too soon, Oba gets destroyed and his momentum dies. But if they wait too long to pay off this angle, fans forget about it and the heat dissipates. The timing has to be perfect to maximize the story's potential while protecting both performers. The comparison to other young talents who challenged legends is interesting. When John Cena challenged Kurt Angle early in his career, it was done with permission and proper build. When Randy Orton went after legends in his Evolution days, it was planned storytelling. But Oba's attack on Brock felt chaotic and unpredictable, either brilliant improvisation or reckless stupidity depending on whether it was sanctioned. Let's address what this means for Oba's NXT championship. He's still the North American champion in NXT. Does this main roster chaos affect his developmental responsibilities? Can he fulfill both roles? Or is WWE planning to call him up full-time, making this attack the catalyst for his permanent move to Raw? Here's what should happen next. WWE should book a structured program between Oba and Brock with clear rules and protection. Have Oba prove himself in qualifying matches. Have Brock toy with Oba psychologically. Build to a big match at a premium live event where Oba can show his skills even in defeat. That's how you create a star while maintaining Brock's credibility. So here's what I need from everyone watching. Drop a comment telling me if Oba Femi is a genius or if he just committed career suicide. Do you think this was planned or did Oba go into business for himself? Share this video because every wrestling fan needs to see this psychotic meltdown. Smash that like button if you want to see Oba vs Brock as an actual match, and subscribe to Wrestling News CC for updates on whether Oba gets fired or pushed. Oba Femi snapped and went psycho on Brock Lesnar live, and the wrestling world will never be the same. Sound off in the comments right now. This is Wrestling News CC, and I'll see you in the next one.